why we need to have facilities for enterprise creation, but also why we need to have that collaboration between university and enterprise. And actually, what we will see later on is that this needs to be expanded further and also include the public sector. Now, let me talk a little bit about how we are actually approaching the embedding of entrepreneurial learning outcomes. And basically what we have found is that really we need to have three areas of focus. One area that focuses on helping students to develop skills that enable them to take the initiative, one that is focusing on the use of resources, and one that is focusing on the creation of ideas and opportunities. And this is essentially what we have done. So if we're looking at the first area, which is taking the initiative, we have identified a set of competences that students have to acquire in order to become successful entrepreneurs. And within taking the initiative, this includes planning and management, coping with ambiguity, uncertainty, and risk. It includes working with others, and it also includes learning with experience, through experience. So basically that personal development element. And what we've tried to do is to translate those specific competencies into description of learning outcomes. So if you're looking at the first one, you see here in taking the initiatives, which is taking the initiative, which is linked to leadership. The learning outcome description would be to act and work independently to achieve goals, stick to intentions and carry out planned tasks, initiate processes that create value. So basically, this is what we want students to do in relation to this, or to be able to do in relation to this specific competence. And I'm not going to go through each of those now because it would take too much time, but you can see the process that we have that we have undergone in order to come up with those learning entrepreneurial learning outcomes. Because if I move on to the next one, we obviously have done the same for the resources area, which is built around self-awareness and self-efficacy. So basically the ability to draw upon one's own resources, motivations and perseverance, mobilizing resources. So basically being able to get and manage the material and the resources that are needed in order to be entrepreneurial and to pursue an entrepreneurial venture, financial and economic literacy, and also mobilizing others. So basically being able to inspire others to follow the entrepreneurial venture. So what we've tried to do is to identify, first of all, specific competences, and then translate this into a set of learning outcomes. And these learning outcome descriptions are really quite fundamental for embedding entrepreneurial capacity building into university curricula in a systematical manner and in a manner that is scalable. Because what we have created with those learning outcomes is a set of curriculum guidelines, a set of skills that each program in theory can take and superimpose, so to speak, on their existing curricula. And it works across all different disciplines. So basically what we could do is we could give this set of learning outcome descriptions to somebody who is leading a program in pharmacy or in architecture or in agricultural management. And we could say to them, okay, have a look at your curricula, have a look at your individual subjects, have a look at the semesters, and think about where you can embed those learning outcomes in order to make sure that students do not just acquire subject expertise, but that they are also nurtured as entrepreneurs. And this will then include not just learning opportunities, not just teaching in the classroom, it will also spill over into the assessments, into the coursework that students are involved in, And it will also spill into extracurricular activities. So basically the additional seminars that students might engage in, guest speakers who might come, and as I said, the facilities and the infrastructure at the university that students might be using during their course. So this is our solution, so to speak, for first of all creating entrepreneurial learning outcomes, and also for embedding those into university curricula. And of course, what goes with that is a set of employability skills as well. So we want to make sure that students have team working and collaboration skills, that they are analytical, that they have problem-solving skills, that they are innovative and entrepreneurial, that they have leadership and organizational skills, that they have intercultural skills, which is very important in a globalized world, and that they have communication and numerical skills. And what you can see here is that we have mapped those employability skills against the 5 E's, the 5 graduate attributes that at the University of Gloucestershire we would like to create. And I think what you're beginning to see really that there is a system of mapping learning opportunities against those skills, those aptitudes, those attributes that we are trying to create. Okay, so the triangular approach model that I've introduced earlier has just become a little bit more complex, because obviously what we want to make sure is that we have got a systematic model to draw upon causation and effectual logic education that I have explained earlier, but also that we are mindful of the fact that some students will be opportunity-based entrepreneurs. So those who identify a market opportunity and are passionate about going into business and who have that drive from within. However, other entrepreneurs will be necessity-based entrepreneurs. So basically they will become entrepreneurs because there simply aren't enough employment opportunities. And what is important is that we differentiate between those two types, and that we are providing support to both of those types of entrepreneurs within curricula, but also within the infrastructures that we are creating within universities to support entrepreneurs, because not all entrepreneurs or startup entrepreneurs will be able to afford university education. Some may need support, training support, mentorship, but they may not be able to afford to study for 3 or 4 years in order to obtain that qualification, that degree that gives them the skills that they need. For which reason, community-based initiatives to support entrepreneurship are also important. And I think what is really going to be increasingly important in the future is that universities understand their role in providing those facilities to communities and to giving that one-stop shop opportunity for those who are in less privileged situations. So here we've got a slightly more elaborate version of what it means to create an entrepreneurial mindset. But regardless of whether we are looking at the triangular approach or whether we are looking at alternative models, looking at the entrepreneurial mindset, the notions of working together, accelerating learning, and leading change are areas which are emphasized in all models concerning building enterprising students. Now, very briefly, and this is going to sort of set the scene, I think, so to speak, for what John is going to talk about later when he talks about creating entrepreneurial universities. But really, in order to create entrepreneurial curricula, we need to understand who the key actors are, and also need to make sure that those key actors are involved. So we need to have the involvement of senior management, of faculty in schools. We need to have growth hubs and incubators involved. We need program managers, and and lecturers and module leaders included in this whole ecosystem that we're trying to create within universities, because without the commitment and without the coordinated effort of all of those key actors, the system isn't going to work. And of course, what we want is to create student entrepreneurs. And I have heard earlier when Arif has made his introduction that quite a few student entrepreneurs have joined us today as well, which is lovely. And I was particularly inspired to see so many student entrepreneurs exhibiting during our recent visits, well, not that recent, it was last year, to the different growth hubs across Indonesia. And the sheer diversity of startup ventures which are emerging in Indonesia. And it's really, really exciting. And I have to say, one of the most inspiring conversations that I have had was when I was talking to aspiring entrepreneurs at one of our Gita growth hubs, and they said to me, "Oh, we wish that we had, that you would have started this project earlier. That those facilities like the growth hubs and the incubators would have existed sooner, and that the approaches towards education would have changed sooner, because so many of our friends and fellow students would have liked to draw upon this support." So I think what we can see already is that the solutions that we are trying to embed are making a very, very positive impact, which is fantastic. And as I said earlier, what is important is that we're thinking about the scalability of the Gita approach and the scalability of entrepreneurial learning outcomes. And we have started conversations with the ministry in order to find solutions for creating an entrepreneurial ecosystem beyond the individual universities and beyond the Gita network. And the national association that we are currently creating, that Arif has mentioned earlier, is going to be one of the most fundamental vehicles for us being able to roll out those solutions across Indonesia. And that includes the creation of incubators, but it also includes the embedding of entrepreneurial learning outcomes into curricula. And we are hoping to work with the ministry in the future to have an understanding of what could be a common standard across different programs. So essentially what we're trying to do is to create those stepping stones for students, where we're giving them an entrepreneurial mindset and employability skills, but also the ability to practice on campus, to become pioneering new business opportunities, and to work in partnership with mentors, and to eventually launch their startups, hopefully successfully, and with the ongoing support of the growth hubs. So thank you very much. That was all from me, and I hope this has given you an insight into how we are developing entrepreneurial capacity through curriculum development. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Nadine. It was a very comprehensive presentation and very clear which part of the curriculum should be tweaked or to be changed, and how to change such kind of curriculum. There are several questions actually, but keep it for later for the question and answer. So let's we call John Jameson from Technology University of Dublin to present on how the innovates could be useful tools for transformation. Please, time is yours, John.
I'm just going to try and share my screen now.
Yes, please.
Okay. Okay, are we seeing that?
Yes.
see the presentation?
Yes, you can start.
Okay. So, salam alaikum and salamat sore. I'm going to pick up on a number of the items and issues that both Nadine and Volker have spoken about earlier. What I would like to do is look at the use of the HE Innovate tool, which we have used within the GitHub project. But before doing so, I've got to put it in a context, and that context is the entrepreneurial university. Universities worldwide are being challenged to evolve and to make a larger contribution towards the both economic, social, and cultural development of their locations. We've already heard from Nadine about the human capital score that governments are looking at as to the contribution that universities and higher education institutions can make towards the development of their locations, both local, national, and indeed international. So the context with which I'm going to talk about the HE Innovate is really about how we create those engines of growth, engines of development, which are effectively the university and the higher education institutions. The GitHub project itself is the mechanism which we were working on for the last two and a half years to try and achieve that objective. The GitHub project itself had a number of very simple and clear objectives. It was to create an orientation, an entrepreneurial orientation within the HEIs that we're working with, and to help those organizations create what we call an enabling infrastructure to support the pedagogy and the experiential learning available to students within those organizations. So the capacity building was a key element of GITA, of the Growing Indonesia project, as was the ability to improve the capacity of career-ready graduates, giving them a more focused program of study and learning, and also to provide them with a real-world experience where possible. Specifically, the objectives of the Growing Indonesia project was to create a physical and a cooperative entity within the universities. This could be as a growth hub, an incubation unit, a department, a school, or indeed at the university level itself. But it was to create an enabling infrastructure in which students and staff can contribute effectively towards the development of solutions really for their locality or for the national interest. Key to this was the idea of integration with local enterprise partners, a key learning resource and a key learning opportunity for both students and staff. Nadine has already spoken about the entrepreneurial learning outcomes, but again, that is a key part to the way in which we would hope that the universities would evolve and include an entrepreneurial mindset within the experience of their students and their staff. So the Growth Hub had effectively three main components that we were working with. One was to try and facilitate and encourage a university enterprise cooperation, looking externally outside the university for opportunities for students and staff to learn, to engage, to research. Also to include entrepreneurial learning outcomes and an entrepreneurial learning pedagogy and curriculum within the learning experience of students. And as a result, to try to improve the employability of graduates. The HEI Innovate has been a tool that's been used in over 1,100 universities worldwide. Universities trying to ensure that their programs are attuned to the needs of their locality and their region, but also to create a value that's important for their students and their staff, and indeed for the university as a whole. So we're going to talk about the tool and how it is the preparation, foundational stage for building an entrepreneurial mindset, as Nadine has mentioned. You may not believe, but there's over 100 different definitions of an entrepreneurial university that's within the literature. They cover many, many aspects and many particular interests of the academic writers who developed them. But there are two definitions which I particularly like, And one definition by Professor Alan Gibb, who unfortunately passed away at the end of 2019, I think is particularly relevant for what we're looking at today. Alan Gibb, who was a key developer of the HEI Innovate tool, felt that entrepreneurial universities are designed to empower staff and students to demonstrate enterprise, innovation, and creativity in research, teaching, and the pursuit and use of knowledge across boundaries or disciplines. They contribute effectively to the enhancement of learning in a societal environment characterized by high levels of uncertainty and complexity. And they are dedicated to creating public value via a process of open engagement, mutual learning, discovery, and exchange with all stakeholders in society, local, national, and international. That definition to me, I think, captures everything we need to understand about the challenge being faced by universities in this day and age. Governments are looking to universities to drive both economic development, social development, cultural development, and are looking at universities as being catalysts for this change. A simpler definition was offered by Professor Gibb's colleague, Professor Paul Hannon, and there are similarities to it, but it's a little bit more succinct. It says, an institution that creates an environment within which the development of an entrepreneurial mindset and behavior are embedded, encouraged, supported, incentivized, and rewarded. Both definitions try to identify the basis of an entrepreneurial organization, and they identify an entrepreneurial mindset as being a precursor, a foundation to the development of an infrastructure that enables the organization to deliver the value it needs to both its students, its staff, its external partners, and indeed the country at large. Within the entrepreneurial concept, there is this idea of innovation. And going back as far as Peter Drucker, these concepts, these meta-constructs were brought together in I think, a very interesting way that connects them. An entrepreneurial approach requires innovation. It requires an innovative mindset, and vice versa. An innovative organization challenges and uses the entrepreneurial concepts of effectual logic that Nadine has mentioned earlier. Within the literature, there's one idea that I think jumps out again and again as a way of providing an insight into what we mean by an entrepreneurial mindset. And it's this idea of value. Sometimes when we speak to colleagues from different disciplines, they can be a little bit reticent about this idea, this sense of entrepreneurial being the preserve of business or management or economics. And really, we've got to break through that to identify or to establish that an entrepreneurial mindset is of interest and of use to any discipline, to any part of an organization, management, staff, administration, students. But what the key concept is that of value. How can an organization, a department, a program create value? Indeed, students are continually asking the value of their awards, the value of their degree. Employers are asking, what is the value of this student that we are now employing on graduation? Governments are asking about the value of the organization to the national effort. So value is an interesting concept to try and identify how a discipline may make use of an entrepreneurial mindset to create a pedagogy, a curriculum, and indeed a learning opportunity, learning experience for both their students and staff. Drucker, as far back as 1985, emphasized that the entrepreneurial individual is a person able to drive innovation, whereas innovation is enhanced by people who can think, behave, and act in an entrepreneurial manner. And that really, I think, goes to the heart of what we're trying to instill within our graduates. The ability to think, behave, and act in an entrepreneurial manner. The distinctive principles of the entrepreneurial university is that it empowers all staff, management, students, administrators, and all students, external stakeholders, and indeed the communities in which they're embedded. It challenges them to make effective and meaningful change in the world around them, and does so by directly engaging in such change activities change through its own activities. I would go back to this idea of a catalyst for change. The university is in a prime position to act as a catalyst for change within its locality. It does challenge, however, the existing status quo of the organization. Universities, especially large universities, have grown large by use of particular mechanisms, particular structures, systems that are very difficult to change unless there's a willingness and a commitment at senior level to make that change. What the entrepreneurial university tries to do is ask about the creation of organizational DNA, which enables the organization to act in an entrepreneurial and an innovative fashion. Indeed, there's a large challenge facing universities worldwide, and that is to reconceptualize their format, their remit, to be more of an entrepreneurial orientation. In short, an entrepreneurial university is one that has entrepreneurial and innovative staff working within an enabling infrastructure, not barriers, but an infrastructure that enables staff to give of their best, and by creating value defined not by the university, but by its stakeholders, its students, its external partners, its employers, its funders. The greatest challenge, therefore, is how universities become entrepreneurial and how to create an effective environment for developing entrepreneurial capacities. And that is the challenge which the HEI Innovate tries to help university management with. The mindset, the entrepreneurial mindset, is a precursor or a foundation to development of an appropriate organizational culture, systems, structures, and indeed individual practice. The idea of an enabled university or an enabled organization, I think, is a way of summarizing what the challenge is. Creating an entrepreneurial university involves institutional change, structural change, and indeed cultural change. And it involves reimagining the interaction or the interplay between the traditional university activities of research, engagement, curriculum, and pedagogy. And that is what the Growth Hub and indeed the Growing Indonesia project has as its core. HEI Innovate itself is a simple tool, and it supports the university on its journey towards this entrepreneurial and innovative objective. It supports staff and students, and indeed external partners in the transformation process. And it tries to create an inclusive environment in which staff, management, and external partners can be involved in setting the agenda, setting objectives through inclusive discussion, decision-making, action planning, and implementation. And the tool itself is not a prescriptive tool, but rather it gives the data, it provides us with the data on which we can have these types of conversations, these types of discussions, and these types of decision-making activities. So who is it for? It's open for all universities worldwide, and it's free of charge. There's over 1,100 universities using the HEI Innovate as a mechanism to help them become more orientated towards an entrepreneurial mindset. It's available in all EU languages, and through the Growing Indonesia project, we got it translated into Indonesian. And it's intentionally open and flexible so that it can be adapted to the use of the university. It's not a straitjacket, or it's not a one-size-fits-all. It facilitates discussion, and it facilitates individual university goal setting. It allows, so what does it do? It allows individuals to assess their HEIs, their universities, in a systematic way. And it diagnoses strengths and weaknesses across 8 different dimensions or areas using a set of statements. The statements are used once we have a composite to open up discussion and debate about how the organization may progress in its entrepreneurial and innovative agenda. And over time, it allows us to contrast and compare progress. It provides access to high quality learning materials, case studies, mentors, and advisors. Through the HEI website, HE Innovate website, there's a wealth of resources available to registered members, both individual members and university members. Material that can be used in class, materials that can be used as discussion documents for project team meetings, etc. So what is it? It is an initiative of both the European Union and the OECD, developed in 2013. And indeed, there are a number of instances within Indonesia where the HEI Innovate has been applied, I think, usefully. So there's expertise within the country about how it's used and the effect it has had. And there's a number of colleagues, academic colleagues within Indonesia that have done some very interesting research using HEI Innovate, both as a mechanism to reflect on the development of an entrepreneurial mindset, and also as an organizational change mechanism within a university. I'll refer to those later on in the session. So the HEI Innovate was launched in 2013 as a guiding framework for universities and higher education institutions that wanted to pursue this innovative and entrepreneurial agenda. It's, as I said, it's free, and it's a reflection tool that allows management and indeed staff and students and within the university to reflect on the perception of the university's ability within an entrepreneurial direction. The tool itself has 8 different dimensions or areas with which it tries to collect the thoughts and views and reflections of participants. And in addition to the surveying element, it provides a wealth of information to guide and support and advise further practice. So how is it used? It can be used individually. And again, I would encourage people to go on to the HEI website and explore. You can't break it. So go on and explore it and see what's involved in it. Its value, however, is as a group exercise. And this can be done at a department level, a school level, a faculty level, or indeed it can be done at the university level. I would argue that a university level perspective gives, I think, a better sense of what the tool can do and the development of an entrepreneurial structure and infrastructure works best. So, but it can operate quite effectively at the sub-levels within the organization. Anyone can set up a group on HEI Innovate and invite others to complete the self-assessment as part of that group. So we could have university, faculty, school department, or indeed a group of colleagues who want to just assess how they're going to develop their entrepreneurial mindset within the context of a program or a department. I think a key element in the use of the tool is to include external partners, organizations, businesses that we as a university work with on a regular basis. Their insight and their contribution is hugely valuable. I would also include both current students and alumni within the data set, if possible. Again, the insight they provide is very, very interesting and useful for an organization trying to make decisions about the direction they want to go. This is a screenshot from the website, and as you can see, there's 8 dimensions. There were 7 dimensions on the digital dimension was added most recently, and it's available in Indonesian as well. So please go onto the site and just play with it and see what use you can make of it. Okay, what is the methodology of application? It's quite simple. Aideen mentioned in her talk about the support of senior management. Absolutely critical. An initiative like developing an entrepreneurial mindset or an entrepreneurial department or indeed an entrepreneurial university is hugely dependent on the support of senior management, the commitment and support of the senior management that this is the direction we want to go. So once that is obtained, an overall project team is usually created. A workshop, a HEI Innovate workshop, again prepares participants within the university for what is to come and outlines the tasks and activities required. The development of mailing lists of students, staff, management, external partners, public, etc., is the next step. Inviting partners to participate is a quite simple exercise. Once the data or the participants complete their survey instrument, the data is collected and generated, and results generated for discussion by HEI Innovate itself. At that point, we now have raw material for very useful discussions and decisions that can be made about actions which we need to take to implement the tasks that we set for ourselves. And one, I think, important element that's sometimes lost is that the use of the HEI Innovate is iterative. It works best when we repeat the survey a number of times over a period of time to find out the progress and to enable us to compare different activities and how they're progressing against baseline. In terms of the methodology, this is a graphic of, I think, the simple way in which it's operated. The key grouping within this is here, is the representative groups would meet to consider, analyze, and to develop the action plans. Those action plans can be as simple or as extensive as the group wishes. The idea being that we are moving towards putting in place the infrastructure or the facilities to enable our students, our staff, and indeed our administration and our management to become more entrepreneurial within their area of activity. The structure of the tool itself is made up of 8 dimensions or 8 areas of inquiry, of which there are 42 scale statements, which is very, very simple to enable the participants to respond to. So there tends to be a very, very high completion rate of the tool once people engage with it. The analysis, there's many, many different forms of analysis you can undertake with the data, and indeed all data is exportable into SPSS or an Excel spreadsheet or whatever statistical techniques that you're interested in. Sorry, I should say, once this a survey is completed, the system will generate a series of recommended resources to support the next stage in the development. It will give you case study material of organizations that have gone through and have a similar profile to what you're presenting. And it will give you guidance notes and ideas about how you could pursue the next stage in the HEI Innovate orientation journey. Perhaps one of the most useful elements that I find to facilitate discussion is this spider chart or radar chart, which is very simply a gap analysis, which allows you to classify the different categories of respondents: academics, students, administrators, general management, external partners, etc., on any of the dimensions, and within those dimensions, any of the statement areas. So you can identify how an organization is perceived on any one of these dimensions. And if, obviously, as a gap analysis, you're now looking at whether you need to undertake tasks or activities to close that gap. So it facilitates discussion, and it facilitates decision-making about the direction in which the department, the school, or the university would like to go to improve its score within the HEI Innovate Index.
Excuse
These
me,
are some
John,
of the
can we make it within 2 minutes?
okay. These are some of the elements within the dimensions. I'm just going to flash through them very quickly. You can pick out a couple, and they're quite specific, and they give rise to I think, very interesting discussions once we get the data back. Okay, and there are 8 different dimensions to it. Host survey. It's important that the project team meet discuss the results of the tool, identify actions, and develop an action plan with approvals, timescales, responsibilities, and resource allocations. And this again ties in with the GITA, the Growing Indonesia approach, and the Growth Hub. It provides a structure and it provides a direction in which action plans can be implemented towards specified goals. So in summary, it's used globally. It's used by, again, a large number of universities worldwide. It is very effective in supporting the development of an entrepreneurial mindset, but it does require commitment of senior management to support the activities. It does involve work, but it is very, very worthwhile mechanism to use if that's what your intent is. It's free, and as I said, there's many people with experience of its use, even within Indonesia. There's my colleague from the GITA project, Dr. Dodi, and there's a very interesting article by Novella et al. That has been produced in 2020, which I think gives a direction by which the HEI Innovate tool can be applied within a input process output model, which I think universities and departments might find very, very, excuse me, very, very useful to engage with. So again, I would recommend you to have a look at those two articles, and you get a sense of how it's being used locally within Indonesia. Okay, thank you very much.
So thank you very much, John. It's a very comprehensive information about the HEIs, so how to change the DNA of the organization with the Innovate. Thank you. Later we will have a discussion on that. So let me invite Alex. Alex, can you make it 15 minutes so we have a discussion? Sorry, Alex, 15 or yeah.
I'm gonna do it very fast. Thank you very much for the invitation. I will fly over my slides, but first introduce you our university in a few words. We are a full university. That means we have around 27,000 students. We have 16 faculties from social science, humanities. We have quantum physics. We have microbiology, biology, chemistry, mathematics, informatics, theology. Almost everything is our university. So this makes the entrepreneurial journey very interesting, but also very challenging. We try to do the awareness and startup consulting at our university a little bit like this, what you can see on our slide. We do some consulting. This is the transfer center where I'm working in. I'm part of it. We have the project service office. There we do a lot of consulting for IP, but also for EU-funded project or underfunded research project. And we also have chair of innovation and entrepreneurship, where we go very deep into the topic of entrepreneurship. Within the university, we have some organizations which are mentioned here. We have the Uni Holding, the Incubator, the Resin Network, the Skinnovation, and I also have a word onto the ITA. And some of them, we have a look outside also with the universities. And outside the university, we cooperate with Startup Tirol GmbH. This is a local organization who helps startups. We have the Startup Tirol Verein. This is, and we have IEZ Hermann Hauser. This is an accelerator. Maybe you've heard about Hermann Hauser. He had the ARM processor, which is in every mobile phone, and he is based in the Tirol. And we have the P2I network. This is more consultancy and awareness. Okay, the Uni Holding. I have a word about the Uni Holding. The University of Innsbruck has the Uni Holding, and the Uni Holding takes shares from spin-offs from the university. This is the only university in Austria who takes real shares about the spin-offs from the university. The Uni Holding supports researchers to spin out their ideas, to spin out their IP, and to build up their own company. We were quite successful at the last few years, and here you can see all the spin-outs from the University of Innsbruck. Some of them, the university still hold shares, and some of them are already exited because of different reasons. Sometimes they got a big investor, so the university always tries to help the researchers and the company. So they said, okay, we let in the big investor and you can build up your company now by yourself. And then some other reasons, the university is still takes shares with the spin-offs. And there's a good, it is a very good win-win situation, because sometimes we have new research projects and the companies are part of the research project. Sometimes researchers from the university get a job in the spin-out companies. Maybe sometimes the spin-out companies bring new ideas into the company. So this is a very good cooperation within the spin-offs and the university. And the good thing is with these companies that they know the university. They know who is easy to work with, who are also the bureaucracy about the university, the things you have to be aware of when you work together with universities. And sometimes they also can be as a, when other big companies in a research project, they can help with the communication between the company and the university, because they know both worlds, the world of the researchers and the world of an entrepreneur. Although these worlds have a lot of similars, because this is the challenge for us, to bring the researchers to emphasize, to think as an entrepreneur, to bring them into an entrepreneurial mindset. And how we try to do this, we try to do this in local association and also international association. And we have the so-called postdoc innovators associations with the current partners from 4 universities. This is Cambridge, Berlin, PSL from Paris, our university, and 3 big company partners. And here postdocs and PhD students are able to talk about their ideas and maybe bring those ideas into a company, to start into a company. The good thing about this is that postdocs and PhDs, they come together and they discuss their ideas and that they can learn from each other. I also can recommend this for you, for your national associations, maybe not with postdocs or PhD students, but maybe with undergraduates or graduate students, that they have an exchange in between the universities. We have also a local organization. This is called the Researchers as the Entrepreneurial Spirits of Innsbruck. We founded this where we have our local organization, where we have our local students and researchers who discusses and about their ideas. We provide workshops, we provide events, and we also try to help them to enhance their entrepreneurial mindsets. We have a lot of events for this. You can see here the event calendar. On the top of it, these are the courses organized by the P2I network and the RESI network. This is our incubator program 2 times a year. This is open for everybody, not just for researchers. We have the so-called enterprise fairs, also 2 times a year, where all postdocs from the P2I organizations from all over, from Europe, from Paris and Cambridge, come together, talk about the idea, have a sprint day. They got some, can join some workshops about building up a company, about communications. And we also have 2 times a year a P2I online course for researchers, how to build up and how to start their company. On top of this, we also have the possibility to send these our researchers to other events like Venture Creation Weekend, to I2I. This is a course in Cranfield. Ignite is a course in Cambridge. ISCT Summer School is in the Tyrol, and a lot of other events. Also Skinnovation, this is a startup event in Innsbruck. These are our partners, the University of Innsbruck, P2I partners, and also the incubator. And we also supported also by Startup Tirol and IECT Hermannhauser. The incubator, where we have all our incubations, when we bring the researchers to the RESI network and the P2I network and empower them to follow their ideas and to bring their ideas into actions. After that, they can start with our incubation program in our incubator. This is our incubator. Some of our partners already visited our incubator. This is the co-working space. Here are all the workshops. At the moment, they are online. At the moment, we've started with the program, and we have 40 teams at the moment in our incubator. Everything is online. It's not like it is real, but it works quite well. And this is the incubator in a nutshell. You can see the incubator is run by the University of Innsbruck, as I mentioned, but also of the Chamber of Commerce. In Austria, all companies are member of the Chamber of Commerce. What does this mean for the incubator? This means the incubator has the possibility of a huge network, of a huge local network, because when somebody has an idea and comes to incubator, we can help him with workshops, with courses, with events and meetups. But on top of it, we can also, we are able to bring him always to the right partner. So when he needs support from any business field, we know partners, we know whom to talk. We always tell them we don't know a lot, but we know a lot of people who knows a lot, and this is it. This is it. And you have to apply for the incubator program, and then you have the workshops, and then you get into the get going phase. We also have the possibility with the workshop from the incubator to do some prototyping. You get a lot of toolbox and stuff like this. And with the University of the Chamber of Commerce, we also have a link to the entrepreneurial ecosystem in Austria, and also with the P2I network, also to other partners. Some facts: we started the incubator in 2016. We have 400 square meters for a co-working space. At the moment, there are 100 business ideas. These are the prototypes, and about 3,000 visitors so far at the events. We see us now not like a startup hub, but more like an innovation hub. We also heard this before, the importance of innovation and the importance how to bring the innovation into the markets with an entrepreneurial mindset. And what is also very important for us, the interface to the regional ecosystem, that we have always talked to our ecosystem in our province and also in Austria, in Europe and worldwide. And how we try to do this, how we do this. We try to support our talents and bring them all together with events, with networking events, with co-working and with individuals, and bring them together. So, and we do this also with the Startup Tirol. That is where we are part of. I've mentioned it before. This is from the province, the startup. They help startups to build up their companies, and there you see a lot of members are a lot of universities, and also the province of Tirol is member of Startup Tirol. And the good thing is that everybody works together. And this is our startup roadmap. It's similar to the one in Bielefeld. We have the basic incubator program, then the booster program, and then the growth camp. I will not go into detail because we heard about this. These are our rules and learnings. Communication and collaboration is the key. We don't know much, but we know the people who do. This is also very important for the network. We are open arms to turn into high fives, so that we are welcome really everybody who can join us at the incubator. Exploit the existing, explore the missing. And these are more or less the 10 rules, what we try to achieve. So the interface, this was the interface to the regional ecosystem, but we also have interface to the to an international ecosystem. Therefore, we created the startup conference Ski Innovation. This is a startup conference on ski. We had to do something special in Innsbruck and into the mountains. That the idea was to do Swiss. We have skiing, we have talks, we have workshops. The pitches are really in the lift, and we have networking events, and it's really a very nice event. And people from all over the world are joining us here, and we would be happy to welcome you, some Indonesian partners, the next times. I also want to mention these international cooperations we got this with the also Erasmus Plus project, and here we try to promoting entrepreneurial innovation with the higher innovation tool, and there we got also new access to a lot of other universities around Europe who also work on entrepreneurship in their institutes, and this is always very important to be open to work together with partners and to learn from the partner and to invite them and to ask them and to improve. But the triangular approach is, triangle is always a little bit open at the end to have a nice sound. And it is very important to be open and to rethink what you do and to act as a startup as yourself to improve and to get better every time. So this is now what is now? This is our team, and thank you very much. I did it, huh?
Thank you so much. It's a few minutes time, so we only have 6 minutes left. So let me deliver one question for Is, because this has been here. There is a question from Ibu Izati, Muhammad Bekti Hendri, Pak Bekti, and also from Ibu Sri. So let me give or deliver the question to each of you. So one of the question is about the possibility to have kind of facilitation or actually like a co-incubation between incubator from Alex and also from Founder Foundation from Dr. Volker. So is it possible or not doing a co-incubation? And then the second question is to Nadine. The question is, we have 3 areas of competence. You seems that you mention or emphasize on first taking initiative and then going to the others. But we also have discussion this morning. There is a question from Ibu Sri about which one should come first and which years. It just should, yeah, this is the question. And then the last question to John. There is a question from Pak Bekti. I'm a little bit tweaking the question, tweak the question, not really exactly this question. So the question about when we implement kind of institutional transformation, shall we start from the top levels? It's been the master plan level. If no master plan, no one will go into that direction, or we actually can do from the institutional level in the lower level. For example, the study program or department or faculties. So what is your opinion about that? So this is, everybody have one question actually. Maybe you can have a quick answer for it. We can start from Professor Volkers and then Nadine, Johns, and Alex. Please, just quick.
Okay. Well, thank you for that question. Basically, the spaces in the Founders Foundation and also in FHM are not limited to any kind of participants. In other words, it's open to everybody. You just need to apply, and normally, of course, it's a group of people who start their businesses in the region. But if somebody is looking for an international outreach, especially an outreach to Germany, that would be definitely open. At the moment, this requires physical. Normally, it requires physical presence. During Corona time, we do have virtual presence, but still there needs to be a regional focus of the business. So, but in principle, it's open. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Because we have a kind of expectation. The question is actually facilitating student from Indonesia, and maybe we have kind of co-incubation with the growth hub in UE and other growth hub in Indonesia. So thank you, Dr. Volker, for Professor Volker, for answering this question. So we can discuss it later. So Nadine, which one comes first?
Thank you for the question. It is a very good question. And yes, I have been talking primarily about taking the initiative, but that was more a matter of time. It was not meant to say that the others are not equally important, because we do have 3 areas of competence. One is about taking the initiative. One is around the use of resources, so the internal resources, personal resources or resourcefulness, and also resources that are available and staff. And then the other area of competence is about creating ideas and opportunities and acting upon those opportunities. So all these areas of competence are equally important. So you can't say that one should take dominance about the other, because what we want is to have an entrepreneur with a rounded mindset. Now, the question as to how you are structuring the delivery and which one might come first within the curriculum, that's a very interesting question. And I don't think that there is necessarily a right or wrong answer, because it very much depends on the subject, and also depends on how you are able to add entrepreneurial learning outcomes into the curriculum. It depends very much on the higher education system and the way in which your curricula are designed. But in an ideal scenario, you would look at each year of study and you would address each of the areas, but with increasing levels of competence and complexity. So you may look at more basic skill sets in the first year and would try to build upon those in the following years. So I think that's my very quick answer to this question.
Thank you so much, Nadine. I think it's quite clear. So, John, what do you think? Shall we start from master plan first, or we can start from anyone to this question for changing the institutional mindset or transformation? Please, John. You still mute your voice, so we cannot hear.
Yeah, and thank you. I think it's a very relevant question. Successful transformation is always going to be a collaboration within the organization, within the university. Absolutely critically important is senior management support. They've got to signal that the activities and the work and the resources are available to affect change. However, equally important is the ownership and the engagement of staff within the organization in that change process. And again, I would look at a typical university situation where senior management signal that, yes, this is an agenda which we want to pursue. It meets our goals, it meets our objectives, and they allow and they free up the staff within the organization to pursue those matters. And I would look at that as being both administrative staff, executive staff, as well as academic staff. Critically important that there are not silos or groups within the organization that are not involved in this change process. So again, it's an easy answer. It's a collaboration, but the signals have to come from the top. Ownership and engagement and delivery should come from the body of the organization itself. That has to be owned by the organization. Quick answer.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, John. So it's clear that it should be a top-down approach, but participatory approach or collaborative is very critical. So last but not least, Alex, yes or no, collaboration, co-incubation with us?
The same with Worker, basically yes. At the moment it's easy because everything is online, but you should have a local connection. We had teams from Russia, from Italy, and from Germany so far. So you also have to apply, and then we can have a look at it. So welcome.
Okay, that's all? Good. Okay, thank you. So it's open for collaborative or co-incubation. So thanks a lot. So I think Indonesian partner later can have a program to do kind of co-incubation, so you can go into the Indonesian market while we also have kind of technology transfer from your incubation to our incubation. So I think that's all. Time is up. So thank you very much for all of you. Nadine, Volkers, Alex, John, is a very informative and very important question for us. Also, thank you for every partners. I see Gunita and others, so I cannot see everybody in the screen. So, but I believe you are here, everybody. So, thank you very much. So, let's a big applause for everybody before I give it up back to the MC. So again, thank you so much.
Thank you. It was a great pleasure. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you, Arif.
Thank you.
Thank
It was
you.
great
Bye.
fun. Thank you.
Let's express our gratitude by giving a round virtual applause to our invited speaker for sharing the valuable experience for us. And then great thanks are also addressed to our moderator for his kind contribution to success of growing Indonesia a triangular approach. So distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, now we will invite Vice Rector Networking Internship Universitas Islam Indonesia to deliver his closing speech for the Growth Festival 2020. Please welcome Mr. Wiryono Raharjo, Master of Architecture, PhD.
Well, thank you very much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, let us thank God Almighty, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, for His blessing He grants to us, so we are all healthy in this pandemic situation, and we are all have the opportunity to attend this very important event. Secondly, I'd like to thank all the speakers, particularly in the last sessions, Professor Volker Wittberg from FHM Germany, Nadine Sulkowski from the University of Gloucestershire, UK, John Jameson from Technology University of Dublin, Ireland, and Alexander Knapp from University of Innsbruck, Austria. I see also, I don't know if he's still here. I'd like to thank Professor Neil Towers, also from University of Gloucestershire, for joining us today. Well, they are all representing our European partners in the Erasmus Kita, or Growing Indonesia Trilingual Approach, the project that has led to the initiation and development of Growth Hub across 7 universities in Indonesia. Therefore, I would like to also to thank the representative of our Indonesian partners, Presiden University, Universitas Pajajaran, Universitas Negeri Semarang, Universitas Ahmad Dahlan, Universitas Brawijaya, and STIE Malangku Seswara for attending this event and for the valuable collaborations since the launch of Kita project 3 years ago. So today is the last day for the Growth Fest for this year. We certainly will organize the Growth Fest again next year. Some of you may ask, what is the meaning of Growth Fest? Well, it is actually a condensed word from Growth Hub Festival. Growth Fest this year runs for 4 days. It involves 18 distinguished speakers with a total number of participants reach 2,500 despite the pandemic situations. So thank you to all the participants for attending the Growth Fest event. The Growth Hub itself is a unit within our university and in other 6 universities in Indonesia I mentioned earlier, which was established as a result of Kita project. So the main objective of Erasmus Plus Kita project is the establishment of Growth Hub, and we have already achieved it. However, since the project will end soon, we will continue the network of Growth Hub through the establishment of the Growth Hub Association among the 7 Indonesian universities. with a view of maintaining the spirit of kita, which is, as Nadine said earlier, to nurture the entrepreneurial mindset of the university community. So we can be more confident to claim our university as entrepreneurial university. I guess that is all I can say to officially close the Growth Fest this year, as well as to congratulate the launch of Growth Hub Association. We hope this association can continue nurturing entrepreneurial mindset of the academia. Thank you very much for your engagement in this event. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, this is the last moment of Growth Festival 2020. If you want to know more about Growth Festival, we invite you to visit our website in simpultumbuh.ui.ac.id/growthfest, and you can also visit our YouTube channel in IBISMA UII. Don't forget to follow our social media in Instagram, IBISMA_UI. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your participation. Have a great day and billahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi
Thank you very much.
wabarakatuh.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Thanks to Ibu Dila, the superwoman, to make it possible. Everything is
Thank
possible.
you.